Welcome to Our Girl Relationships. On this channel, we talk about problems people face in their day-to-day lives. Let's start with a video.
I got engaged last year. I expected my fiancé to propose on my birthday, but he didn't. He was very secretive during that period, so I thought that was what he was planning. I later found out that he acted that way on purpose, so I wouldn't see it coming when he actually proposed. That was smart of him because when it didn't happen on my birthday, I let my guard down a little, and then he asked me to marry him. It wasn't out of the blue, totally, because we both knew that that was the direction we were headed. My fiancé is an identical twin. They look so much alike that you would have really know and study them properly to spot the difference. They both like to fool around and confuse people. I usually could tell who was who, but if they tried hard enough, they could fool me too. I hope the day wouldn't come when I thought my fiancé was his brother and his brother was my fiancé. We planned the wedding of our dreams in a year. I wasn't one to like big ceremonies or gatherings, but I have always wanted a grand wedding. After speaking to my fiancé, we decided to have a big wedding. I had to talk him into it because I wanted to make sure that he wasn't uncomfortable with it. It was his wedding as much as it was mine, so I wanted him to have good memories of it as well. I remember speaking to him with fingers crossed, hoping that he would agree because my plan B was to make him see why we should have a big wedding. If I succeeded, we would go ahead with it. I knew he'd agree because I wanted it though. He made it easier by just agreeing in the first place. My fiancé's sister is a wedding planner, so she offered to plan our wedding for free. That was so exciting because we got to put the funds we would have paid her into other things. I am the kind of person that likes to have everything planned out to the T. I'm very organized and would rather spend much time planning for effective execution than just stumble into things. This was why I specifically asked that we plan our wedding for a year, because it would give us enough time to do everything right. I have the tendency to become a perfectionist, so I try to balance it and keep myself in check. With the help of my sister-in-law, we did our research and had meetings with potential vendors. It was relatively easy to do because I knew exactly the kind of wedding I wanted, and she was a planner, so she had a lot of contacts. We found so many good vendors that the issue became who to pick, plus budget wasn't a problem. We were going above and beyond for this wedding. I wanted everyone that attended it to be in awe and well catered for. My fiancé and I are doing very well financially, and our parents were also supporting us with funds for the wedding, so we had more than enough to go for what we wanted. It was more like what I wanted because my fiancé didn't care for an extravagant ceremony. He would have been okay if we had the wedding in our parents' living room. All he wanted was to get married and build a family with me. We were set for the wedding 2 weeks before. That was precisely what I wanted because I don't like to do last-minute things. It is too stressful, and if we have planned for one whole year, I wouldn't want my wedding day to be ruined because I'm stressed about something minor. I was going to be the perfect and most gentle bride. On my wedding day, I woke up so excited to get married to my best friend. After our bachelor and bachelorette party, we spoke to each other until we fell asleep. We didn't want to spend our day apart, but our friends would not let us be together. We even talked about how we could have escaped the party because we were both miserable. Both of us were not loud party people, and that's what our friends planned. We couldn't wait to be married the next day. The day finally arrived. I was going to have the perfect wedding, and all the year's work and planning would pay off. I was so giddy. Nothing would make me sad or change my mood at that time. I didn't know what was awaiting me at the church. When I got to the church, we did the procession, and I saw my fiancé. Something looked different. He looked like him, but I couldn't place what it was. I wondered if he was worried about something or had cold feet about getting married. The thought of that made me anxious, so I dismissed it. As we were about to say our vows, someone came in. It was his twin, and he said that he was my fiancé. It was true because I figured that was what was off when I came in. I also wondered why the other twin wasn't standing next to my husband. He came closer, and his brother, who wasn't my fiancé, handed me over to him after giving me a wink and saying it was a prank and he was sorry I lost him jokingly. I could have laughed at it, but I didn't feel like it. I couldn't believe that my fiancé would do such a thing. First, I felt embarrassed that I didn't realize it immediately, and then just the fact that they could even do that got on my nerves. My fiancé knew how much I wanted a seamless wedding, and he still decided to pull this stunt. His brother was having a good laugh, and it annoyed me the most. I had to decide whether to walk out of that wedding or to stay. If I stayed, what was I going to say or do? I still wanted to marry my fiancé, even though I was so mad at him at that moment. That meant that walking out wasn't an option. The first thing I said was that if the wedding was going to continue, his twin had to leave immediately, and they both had to promise never to do it again. My fiancé knew that when I was quiet and then spoke, it meant that I had weighed all my options and it was my decision and it was best to do what I wanted. He politely asked his brother to leave after apologizing to me. His brother didn't like it at all. He wanted to make a scene, but his dad and my brother escorted him out. I just wanted to have the wedding and be done with it. What happened to my well-planned, seamless wedding? It went down the drain because my fiancé and his brother acted like irresponsible kids. After the ceremony, my husband kept apologizing to me. He said that he thought it would be funny and it wasn't his intention to make me unhappy. His parents called his brother on the phone and scolded them both. I still didn't want his brother around for the reception. In fact, I would have preferred not to see him for a while because I suspected that it wouldn't turn out nice if I did. Maybe I cut my husband some slack and poured all the anger on him. The truth is, I didn't care. Someone had to go down for it. I often wondered how they thought it was okay to exchange and try to deceive everyone. After about a month, my fiancé's brother called me to apologize. That was the first time I spoke to him since the wedding. I was ready to let it all go, so I heard what he had to say and said a few things as well. I also apologized for kicking him out of his brother's wedding. My husband was so happy that we were now all on good terms. My husband and his brother were very close, so it was weird for him to not come to the house for a while. They weren't also speaking because he was mad at my husband for doing what I wanted and throwing me out. I don't regret my actions one bit because that gave them clarity on where I stood about certain things. But I also didn't want to be the reason my husband and his brother did not talk anymore. That's when I decided to speak to him and make amends. If not, it would have haunted me for life. Some people think that I did the right thing, while others say I could have controlled myself and the situation. Those who disagreed with me were very mean to me, but I didn't let that bother me. The deed was already done, and I was already married, so everyone could go back to minding their own business. My husband never mentioned that it was my fault or insinuated that he wasn't happy with me in any way. Instead, he was remorseful for what they did. If he was okay with me, then that was all I cared about. The other people didn't mean anything to me, and so their opinions in this situation don't matter. NTA, I would have walked out of the wedding. I am not a joke, and no one is allowed to treat me like one. Your fiancé and his brother were out of line. Your husband should have known that you didn't want that. YTA, why would you throw your fiancé's family member out of his wedding? You had no right to do that, and I'm surprised they all let you do it. It wasn't just any family member, it was his twin. It just goes to show that you can't take a joke. You could have just laughed it off and moved on. NTA, I agree that your fiancé shouldn't have pranked you with something like that, but I also think that you could have responded better. Maybe if you laughed. Everyone else would have laughed, and that would have closed the matter.
Next story.
My sister, 26, and I, 25 male, aren't talking right now because she claims that her BFF, Haley, 25, female, was stolen by me like she was her property or something. They were close friends since their last year of high school. Then Haley and I had the same college classes together, so that's how we became friends too. For me, I fell in love with her by the end of our first semester because we got to know each other so much and spent tons of time working on projects or assignments together. But I never said anything because we had a good friendship, so I didn't want to weird her out or make it seem like she can't be friends with a guy because he'll end up wanting more from her. Haley was still hanging out with my sister this whole time, but we were also spending time together. Then, 2 years later, she asked if I feel the same way she feels about me. So we had to stop kidding ourselves and just went for it. We decided to see where things go on the down low. Not tell anyone until we know for a fact we're serious. We told everyone after 8 months. My sister wasn't happy about it at all. But then we got mad at her when she made a joke that it won't last and she'll have her friend back after. Well, a couple of months go by and we found out Haley was pregnant. It was a total shock to us because we were trying to be careful, but stuff happened anyways, and we're so happy to meet our baby boy. My sister threw a huge fit, and then she didn't want to talk to either of us. So we didn't for months, and that was fine if that's how she wanted it. My girlfriend is over 7 months pregnant. Last Saturday, her sister threw her a baby shower, and we all went. To our surprise, my sister showed up too. But all she kept talking about was her friendship being ruined thanks to me, not being able to keep my dick in my pants. Haley tried talking to her a couple of times to tell her they can still be best friends, and she doesn't love her any less. My parents told her she should leave. Then I heard her tell them no, because I ruined her friendship, so it's only fair she ruined our day. The fact that she was only there to try messing things up is what got me pissed off. I made her go outside with me, and that's where I told her off about being a brat. The whole world doesn't revolve around her, and she got so mad, and she left. Now my sis keeps saying I'm such an insensitive a-hole for trying to minimize her feelings, and she's allowed to say what she wants. And okay, yeah, she can say whatever she likes, but it was to intentionally ruin a day Haley's sister planned for us with other people who aren't even involved in the drama. I don't know. My parents feel she was definitely crossing a line, but I crossed one too, telling her those things. AITA? NTA? OP? And your sister is lucky that's all you said to her because the way she was acting, you definitely would have been justified in saying much harsher things to her. Yeah, she can say whatever she wants, whenever she wants, but she's batshit crazy if she thinks that she means she's immune from the consequences that come about after saying what she wanted to say. She was being completely possessive in her friendship with Haley to the point that she absolutely treated Haley as nothing more than a piece of property. Your sister wants to talk about how you're minimizing her feelings, but yet she's the one totally disregarding Haley's feelings by treating her as an inanimate object. And don't even get me started on her gross entitlement and audacity by intentionally trying to ruin yours and Haley's special day, and then being so nonchalant about it. OP, you and Haley need to be prepared to make the choice to go low to no contact with your sister after this stunt because I guarantee that she's never going to get over this and she'll definitely try to get even with the two of you in the future by ruining more special occasions. NTA. People are not property and you can't steal them. You can, in theory, sabotage other people's relationships, but that's absolutely not what happened here from your description. Haley apparently still wants to be friends with your sister, and the only person stopping that from happening is your sister herself.
Next story.
I want to know if I'm in the wrong. When I, a 24-year-old female, and my husband, 30, and I bought our home at the time, his brother, 26, was living with him. I didn't want to displace him since it was my decision to purchase the home, and I told him he could move in with us. everything's been good. We have 3 bedrooms on the main level, 1 for our bedroom, 1 for our computer, office, game room. I work from home, so I need that. And my brother's room. Now that I'm pregnant, I want his brother to move to the room in the basement. It's twice the size of his room. We even offered to floor and carpet it and paint the walls he chose. He doesn't want to move to the basement because his cats will feel uncomfortable. His cats? I'm starting a family and I need my office, and his room was what I had in mind to convert into a nursery. I told him he's going to hear screaming and crying all the time. He doesn't care, and now he wants to paint the bedroom. To market? I don't know. On top of that, my husband is siding with him, saying he just feels comfortable upstairs. We'll change the office into the nursery and bring the computers into the bedroom. I'm on the verge of throwing them both out of my house. I'm so frustrated. Shouldn't it be my feelings first? Do I feel comfortable with my baby? Brother pays a small portion of rent towards us, but I don't think he will move out because we let him foster kittens in the basement and he doesn't pay for any utilities, gas, etc. Just a couple of hundred for rent that he forgets most months anyway. We don't care. We let him stay with us because we care for him. Brother does not have a disability. He's perfectly capable, just a bit socially awkward. Don't want to move the office to the basement because in the future I will have to watch my child on the main level where its room and everything else will be at my disposal while potentially working from home. Husband talked to brother over the summer before we even started trying, and he said he would move to the basement. NTA, you've got to be kidding me. The adult brother and his cats need to move to the basement. There is no discussion or compromise that is needed. He can move to the basement or he can move out. I have no idea why your husband would agree to everyone accommodating the adult brother over the comfort of everyone else in the home. And if the brother really thinks it would be better to be upstairs with an infant, I don't think he understands what that entails. I'm very confused on why a lot of people want the pregnant woman, mother, of an infant to walk up and down stairs instead of telling a grown-ass man to move to the basement. The assumption is that the basement is underground with a dirt floor or something, when we don't know that is the case. Also, we're talking about a baby. What adult is going to want to live and sleep next to a baby who is going to spend most of the first months crying? Let the man stay there, 'cause they're going to run to the basement without him the first night that child screams.